I'll wait to see your golden smile, feel of 1,000 kisses.
Hello! In our previous episode, we left our floating home, Eucalyptus, at the marina and took a bus to visit the ancient city of Ephesus. This time around, we're renting a car and traveling about 180 kilometers straight east to see the travertine terraces of Pamukkale and the ancient city of Hierapolis. We're staying in a little hotel off the main road of town, very close to the main entrance of both sites, but we have opted to drive up to the north gate because that gate opens earlier than the main gate, and we want to try to beat as much of the tourist traffic as we can. The icing on the cake is that we're allowed to bring our dog Zoe with us into both sites. Visitors have come to see these amazing sites for thousands and thousands of years. Both Pamukkale and the ancient Greek city of Hierapolis were added to the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988. So we arrived at Pamukkale, checked into our hotel, and walked around town to find a place for dinner. The next morning, just before 6:30 a.m., we entered through the north gate and got a chance to see a pretty good bit of Hierapolis, though it was from afar. It was a little bit of a hazy day, but it was still beautiful. When we arrived to the edge of the terraces, we were met with a sea of hot air balloons, which looked absolutely magical. But we were also met with terraces that were empty of water and pretty dirty, which was a really big disappointment to us.
There's some water. Oh my god.
We managed to find one row of pools filled with water. Although it looks like we're walking on ice, it's definitely not. The water was somewhat warm in places, but overall pretty cold, which was a surprise as we expected them to have hot water.
Stick your feet in that now.
It'll turn my butt white.
You might hear the terraces in Pamukkale sometimes referred to as Cotton Castle, which is the translation of Pamukkale from Turkish. It's not snow or salt or cotton, even though it looks like any one of those. It's basically a geological limestone formation created by minerals washing away the hot spring pools. The pools that we were able to enter and walk around on seem to all be made of concrete and potentially filled with water from a hose. Who knows? I'm not sure that there was really anything natural about those particular pools.
No water on this calcification.
Pamukkale has 17 hot springs made up of gallons of mineral-rich turquoise water that have turned it into a landscape of petrified waterfalls. Next, we moved up the hill towards the museum, the restaurant, and Cleopatra's pool. It's almost 8 a.m. and the tourist buses were about to arrive and dump out hundreds of humans, so we rushed to see Cleopatra's pool while it was empty.
Some quick video and photos of Cleopatra's pool before there's a million people in here. Because there will be a million people in here. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning. We came at 6:30, so we could avoid all the people. But you can already see them arriving right there. Woo-hoo, right on time.
The pool is sometimes referred to as Pamukkale Antique Pool. This is an artificially made pool that Mark Antony supposedly gifted to the Egyptian queen Cleopatra. In the pool you will find pieces of Doric columns and capitals strewn around, which are believed to have been part of the Temple of Apollo and date back to around the 2nd century BC. A huge earthquake in the 7th century toppled the columns over into the pool. You can pay a small fee and swim in Cleopatra's pool if you want, but we opted to skip the swimming part, which we have really no regrets over. Next, we visited Hierapolis. I feel like I'm starting to sound a little bit like a broken record when speaking of these ancient sites. Everyone we go to is either part of the 7 ancient wonders of the world or named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and basically all of them were built, destroyed, rebuilt, destroyed by earthquakes, rebuilt, destroyed by man, rebuilt, and so on. This one's no different, but it's still pretty freaking amazing to see. It's said by the smart folks on the interwebs that during the Trojan War, the Greeks attacked the city of Pergamum, likely because they mistook it for the city of Troy, which is possible seeing how close both are to each other. So, supposedly, Hierapolis is one of the most famous architectural ruins from the Roman and early Christian periods surviving today. This site was built just above the travertine pools, likely due to its beauty and its health benefits. The name Hierapolis comes from Hiera, who is the wife of Telephus, the guy who invented the telephone. Okay, not that guy. But anyway, let's back up because I'm pretty sure some of our viewers paid as little attention during middle and high school years as I did. Anyway, Telephus was the founder of the city of Pergamum, and when the Greeks attacked, Hiera, his wife, got all defensive, as she should have, and called up all her girlfriends from Mysia, which is the area right next door to Troy, and she told them to go all Karen on the Greeks. Except it didn't really end well for Hiera because she was killed by the Greek warrior Nereus. You might know Nereus. He was only the 2nd most handsome man after Achilles, which I guess is really not a bad way to go, being killed by the 2nd hottest Greek in the world. Anyway, long after all of that drama, a few earthquakes, the city was refounded according to the Hippodamus Grill Plan. So Hippodamus was a city planner, and he designed cities in rectangular grids, kind of like modern-day Manhattan. Anyway, enough about that. What did we see during the visit? Columned Street, also called Front Street, is the main north-south street of Hierapolis. It was lined with columns and shops and 2 large drinking fountains. For Apollo, and we've been to at least 4 of them that I can immediately think of at this very moment. One of them is here in Hierapolis, and 3 of them are in Greece. We saw one at the island Delos, one at the island Despotico, just south of Antiparos, and one on the mainland, northwest of the Corinth Canal-ish in the ancient city of Delphi. Plutonian, a religious site dedicated to the god Pluto. The site was only just discovered in 1965, and the not-so-fun part of it is that it was built on top of a cave, which is known to emit toxic gases, and was used as a ritual passage to the underworld. Apparently, ritual animal sacrifices were common at the site by throwing them in and then pulling them back out, dead, with ropes that had been tied around them. So yeah, that's a fun group of folks. Anyway, archaeologists say the deadly fumes are still around because they've recorded passing birds that were attracted by the warm air and then suffocated after breathing in the toxic fumes. Thankfully, we did not witness any dead birds, and we didn't inhale any of the deadly fumes that we know of. The theater at Hierapolis was built in the 2nd century AD under the Roman Emperor Hadrian, and as you can imagine, it was damaged and rebuilt after a few earthquakes. The exterior doesn't seem unbelievable to me, but the interior is just breathtaking. It's actually one of Anatolia's best preserved collections of Greco-Roman theater decorations. It could accommodate about 15,000 people. This octagonal structure is the Basilica Bath, and it's located near the northern necropolis of Hierapolis, and it was built originally in the 2nd century AD. And then in the 6th century, it was turned into a church, and Christian symbols were carved into the keystones above the arches. There is a group of Christian buildings in Hierapolis, one of them being the cathedral, the baptistry, and several churches. But the most important monument is the Martyrium of St. Philip, which is at the top of a monumental stairway and has an octagonal layout, which is pretty remarkable.